Good morning, everybody. How are you guys doing today? Glad to see you guys online bright and early. Have a slightly different setup today, and I just want to make sure things are working over here because last time I had some technical issues with my computer. So I just want to make sure that you guys can hear me okay, can see me okay, and then we'll get the show started. So please give me a thumbs up if everything's okay on your end. I'm actually using a whole different computer today because I had so many issues with my desktop last time that it unfortunately cut out in the middle of a show with a guest, and I didn't want that to happen again. So I'm using my laptop this time, and I'm using a different mic. Camera's slightly different. Actually, looks a little bit, maybe a little bit better. I don't know. I'm glad you guys think it looks better. I think the colors look better this time around. So maybe I'll continue using my laptop instead of my desktop, which has been a real lemon for me over the last little while. And I guess I'm going to have to upgrade soon. So needless to say, there's always something to do and something to improve. So welcome to today's Sunday live show. Glad to see everybody in the house. And today's number 25 already. So it's kind of a milestone. To me, I guess it's 25 shows in. I kind of went fast. I wasn't expecting it to go so quickly. But it's been a lot of fun, you guys, and I really do appreciate you guys tuning in. I look forward to these Sunday mornings. It's going to be, you know, you're alone in quarantine these days. You're recording stuff alone, and when you're actually able to connect with your viewers, it's actually a lot of fun, and just to be able to update each other on what's going on and what everybody is up to in terms of gear and other things. So I really do look forward to these Sunday shows, and I appreciate you guys tuning in. So I want to start off by saying the viewership on the channel actually is doing quite well. I'm just shy of 4,000 subscribers right now, and it's really been going great. And I really am super appreciative of you guys subscribing to my channel and sticking with me because I know there's a lot of content out there. There's new content every day. But I really do want to build a community here, and I think that we have a really nice group of people that I look forward to chatting with. So let me start off by saying good morning to everybody. So Randy's in the house. Good morning, Randy, Southern Illinois. Everything's well with me, man. Thank you very much. How about you? Hope you and your family are doing well. Jack Collins. Sounds like a drink. I like to have a Jack Collins on the rocks. It's a cool name, man. Good morning. And also, Jack is from Louisiana. Buktu. Hi, Jim. Tim, sorry, Jim. I'm thinking about Jack and Jim and all kinds of things. Tim, how are you doing, man? Thank you for tuning in again. Nice to see you here. Tim's a regular here as well. Alan's a regular here as well, all the way from the UK. Fat Philosopher, always a viewer here and always makes me laugh. Good morning. Um, and the Gospel of Mark. So, and Paul's here too. Good morning, Paul. A lot of regulars I see here today. Glenn. Hey, Glenn. Nice to see you, man. Keith is here too as well this morning. Max is here. Francis is here as well. Man, a lot of early risers. Victor, nice to see you, Victor. So, guys, basically, one of the questions I had for you guys today, and I posted it at the very top. You'll see it. In the question, you can think about this while we're chit-chatting. So the question of the day is, what is the cheapest pedal you own and love currently? Simple question. I think we all have a bunch of pedals. or most of us do. And I think it would be nice for us to share what your favorite cheapest pedal is, because ultimately we're all looking for good deals. I love good deals on gear, guys. I'm frugal. I said that many times. There's nothing better than buying something that sounds good or plays well that is cheap. And that's ultimately the goal, is to get gear that's surprising to you when you actually bring it in and you actually like the pedal, gear, guitar, whatever it is, but you like it even more because it's inexpensive. You know, it's almost like you have a dirty little secret that you can keep from everyone. So there's a lot of pedals like that, and basically, I know some of you have some in your collection. So let's talk about that a little bit this morning. Other than that, I just wanted to remind everybody that swag is available at the bottom of all of my videos, and obviously that helps my channel. So if you want to grab yourself a shirt or a mug or whatever you would like to have, a sticker for your guitar case, please help yourself. The money goes directly into supporting the channel and upgrading the gear, like the computer or the lights or the microphones or whatever it may be. And I really appreciate that. I'm also thinking about maybe starting a Patreon account. I was debating whether or not to do that for a long time, and I don't know what you guys think about that, but I might actually end up doing something like that to help things along, and just help the channel a little bit financially, because stuff is very expensive and the gear, doesn't last forever. And when something breaks, it's got to be replaced or the show doesn't go on. So, something like that might be a little bit helpful. Other than that, what else did I want to say? Oh, I want to talk a little bit about the gear that I'm using today. So I spoke about the laptop, so that's what that's all about. I think I'm going to continue using the laptop because it actually seems to be pretty good. And if it doesn't cut out, then we're in business. As far as the mic goes, I'm using a very inexpensive mic from Fifine. Actually, it's right over here. I don't know if you can see that. I don't want to turn it around, but it's a USB mic, very inexpensive, and I'm going to review it because I think it's a pretty good deal. I wasn't sure how well a USB mic might perform, but this one so far seems to be okay. If you guys think the sound is good, then definitely let me know. All right, so let me just do one thing here on my screen while I'm waiting for a couple more answers for my question of the day. I just want to do one little thing here, if I can actually do it quickly. Talk amongst yourself for a second. And I just want to check something here. Okay, so guys, basically, you probably noticed that I had some guests on the show the last couple of times. I had Buddha, Nick was on the show, Jonathan was on the show. Really great guys, all of them. Really appreciate having them on the show, and I would really like to have them on the show, semi-regularly whenever they have some time. I know they're busy with their stuff as well. And I also wanted to ask you guys if there's anyone else out there that you feel, might be a good guest on the show. Maybe I should reach out to them. Maybe people that you're watching on a regular basis. Give me a couple of suggestions. I'm always willing to go out there and make some more friends. So let me go through a couple of questions, and if you guys have questions, don't hesitate to ask. Any of the previous videos that I did, I know you guys sometimes have questions for me. This is the time. Obviously, my entire attention is on you guys since there's nobody as a guest today. I'm going to be focusing on your questions and definitely answer all of them. So let's start from the bottom today instead of from the top, and see if there's any interesting questions. Vox Guitars, good morning, dude. How you doing, man? So Cool Tunes Made Easy has a question for me, and he says, Have you done any reviews on the Supersonic and Dirty Shirley amps? Actually, I use my Dirty Shirley and Supersonic amps regularly. Whenever I play, it's mostly one or the other. Um, I haven't really used my Blues Breaker, and I don't often use my Brunetti for play samples, just because I feel that the sound on the Supersonic is a little bit cleaner. So tend to use that one. Um, but I haven't really done a full review, in actual fact. Actually, I'm a little slow on the reviews on the amplifiers for some reason. But yeah, maybe I should definitely do that. Yeah, I think that would be cool. Victor says he suggests that I reach out to Shane and Dr. Rick. I'd love to do that. They're all the way in Australia and I'm all the way in Canada, so the time might be a little bit of a challenge. Shane and I have communicated over doing a show together. It's really just a question of timing, and I know he's got a lot of things going on his end. So whenever he's got a moment, yeah, we probably will end up doing that. I hope. Shane seems to be like a really good guy, so I think we would have a lot of stuff to talk about. Casey Lee says, "How about Old Guy Jammin'?" I don't know who that is. I would have to check him out. I don't know his channel. I'm not familiar with him. And of course, yeah, Marty. Everyone knows the Schwarzenegger. Marty. I don't know if Marty would give me the time of day. I mean, he's got a pretty big channel. I guess I could reach out to him. Phil McKnight, yeah, maybe. There's a lot of people out there, and I think right now everyone's kind of pretty busy. I think that they're all taking advantage of being quarantined and putting out a lot of content. I have noticed that over the last little while, the actual views have dropped because more and more people are putting content. So there's a lot more stuff to view. So I don't know. I think I'd rather go with somebody that's a little bit more along my range of viewers and really loves to talk gear. And I know all those guys are great, but sometimes when you have a big channel going on, you don't have the time. So we'll see. We'll see. All right, so let's look at a couple more questions here. So the Gospel of Mark says that his cheapest pedal is the Noble's ODR1 Overdrive. He got one new for about 85 bucks. So I've heard about this overdrive before, and I think maybe we discussed it in a previous show, or at least it comes up a couple of times. And so what is this ODR modeled after? Is this like a clone of something? Or is it just, does it do its own thing? What do you like about it? And why do you feel it's such a deal at 85 bucks? Okay. Fat Philosopher says that his cheapest guitar pedal, $35, Pock Rock multi effects. Never heard of that one. Pock Rock, 35 bucks for a multi effects unit. That sounds good. Well, that's pretty cool. I gotta check that one out. Alan says he doesn't have any pedals, so I guess he likes to go direct. You know, guitar, amplifier, and that's it. Sometimes that's the best tone. Thanks, Tim. Thanks for that thumbs up and smiley face. So, Tim says, I own no pedals yet. I think that's going to change soon, Tim. What do you think? How do you stop yourself from buying gear? That's another question that I have going on today. I got a couple of things that I have serious gas for right now, and we're going to discuss that a little bit later. And I think I'm going to have to spend more money soon. I really don't know. I'm hoping not to, but yeah, when the gas hits, man, it's really hard. Fat Philosopher says he feels pedals are going to eventually go the way of the dinosaur. I don't know. I feel that we've been saying that for years, and it hasn't happened yet. I think there's always going to be a place for pedals, and I really think there's a lot of people out there that are really pretty against anything else. So I don't know. I mean, it's possible. Anything could happen, but I think that like if you remember when I was talking to Buddha, he's really heavy on tone, and I don't think he's the type of guy that would go with an Axe FX. Maybe he would. Who knows? But from what he's telling me, he's very picky about his sound, all the way down to like the cables that he uses. And when you're in it that deep, I think it's hard to get a multi-effects unit or something that is not an individual pedal to give you everything that you need. So I don't know. I keep going back to pedals. I do buy multi-effects and I do use digital stuff here and there, but eventually I always go back to pedals. So I'm not sure. And yeah, that's a perfect example is Paul here. Paul says he has 80 dinosaurs that he uses every day. So there you go. Paul, what do you prefer? I mean, I know you have 80 dinosaurs, but have you tried the digital thing and what's your thoughts on that? Fat Philosopher says he's the Steel Panther of this chat group. So where are the girls? Oh man, you gotta laugh. If you don't laugh, man, what's the point, right? Seriously, especially these days. So Jack says he's got like over 100 multi-effects units that I gave 85 bucks for, and it does everything I need to do, and it has a loop around it and everything. I don't know what are you talking about, Jack? What unit is that? Victor says TC Electronics Soul Food and MXR Super Badass Distortion, I guess, are his favorites. The Soul Food is like a staple of people, I guess, that want to get that clon sound or similar. People say it sounds like a clon. I don't know how accurate that is, but yeah, that's and the Super Badass Distortion from MXR. So those two have you covered. You don't have any modulation effects or anything that you use as well. Modulation effects tend to be a little bit more expensive, I think, or good ones, anyways. Casey says he doesn't have not one pedal, but he does have a pod that he uses. Pods are, I used to have a pod a long time ago, and they're not bad. They're, at the time they were pretty good, but they get better every year. That's the thing about these multi-effects units is that you have to constantly be upgrading them, which is kind of it's tricky, You think you have the best, and then 3 years later you got to upgrade that and get something else. And if you don't do that, you kind of end up with a doorstop that's not worth anything. But I find that pedals they're kind of, especially if you buy them used, they kind of stay in that price bracket, right? Once you buy a used pedal, that's pretty much it. And they don't really drop more than that, I think. Fat says the diesel VH4 was the best distortion he ever heard. Price $400. That's way too expensive for distortion, in my opinion. I actually I've bought a couple of boutique distortion pedals. The latest one that I bought, and I didn't even make a video of it. I should have, was the Diablo. which I've seen on a couple of other videos. People have reviewed, and it sounded great, and I bought it. The thing's like 350 bucks. I don't know, man. I don't know what the big thrill is. Honestly, I tried it for a while, and I got rid of it. I didn't think it was worth that much money. I always put it against what I already have, and if it's really not like gonna blow my socks off, out the door. Francis says the Joyo American is his favorite inexpensive pedal. So now the Joyo American, that is, if I'm not mistaken, correct me if I'm wrong, Francis, but I think that's uh, the pedal that's supposed to emulate. Is that the Mesa or the Fender? And that's kind of like an amp in a box type thing. Fat Philosopher wants to start a business. He wants to start selling Korg pedals because they now cost $1,200 on the used market. You know, a lot of times I wonder why that is, like why the old pedals end up being so collectible when oftentimes the new stuff sounds better and is built better. Um, I'm not sure why that is, but I wouldn't pay $1,200 for a pedal, any pedal. I would say the best cheap pedal is a Metal Zone. Bumblebees in a can, basically. I used to have one, so actually I bought one twice, so shame on me, right? That was a long time ago, though. Don't judge me, guys. A long time ago. The Blues Driver from Boss is an interesting pedal. Last time I tried it, I didn't really bond with it. I bought one and I ended up selling it. This was a long time ago, but I gotta try it again because now there's the second version. I think I might have tried the original one, and I think maybe the second one is a little bit better. The Vox Tone Labs, Rich, I've tried one, and the ones that had the little tube in it, I don't know if they came out with the new version or not, but that one was pretty good. It was a little noisy, I remember. Like the noise floor was a little high on it, but I liked it. It sounded pretty good. Right now, I'm using a multi-effects unit, as I mentioned a couple of times, along with my amps. I'm using the Ampero, not the Ampero 1, the full-blown Ampero. And actually, they recently upgraded the firmware on it, so they're still making improvements, which is really nice to see. And that unit, the Ampero, the full-blown one, seems to work really well so far. What they've improved with the new firmware is they've given it a global EQ, so now you can actually tweak the EQ across the entire thing, which is good to have when you're not playing through, let's say, an FR speaker of your own and you're bringing it somewhere else and you might not like the sound in that scenario. You can now tweak the entire global EQ on it so that you can get it to sound exactly the way you like it. They've also improved the tuner. It's still a little lacking, I feel, the tuner. They could have made a nicer interface, but it works a little bit better now, and a couple of other improvements as well. I'm going to be trying to get my hands on an Ampero 1 and compare it with the Ampero just to see what the difference is. I know it's a slimmed down version, like a more budget version of the Ampero. I think the sounds and everything are going to be identical on it, but I'm just going to, I want to check it out just to see if it's really worth maybe downgrading to something a little bit cheaper if the Ampero is too expensive for you guys and you want to get something more budget. The Ampero 1 is cool because it's small, right? So you can put it on your pedal board and you can use that with whatever else. Let's say you want to put a real wah on it, maybe some outboard modeling effects, or not modeling effects, but modulation effects. I hope it still has the effects loop because otherwise you can't really play other effects, outbound effects with it. So we'll see. I'm curious on that. But going back to the reviews on the Supersonic and the Dirty Shirley, all I can say is that the Dirty Shirley really is a keeper for me. It's one of my favorite amps right now, and I don't think it's going to be going anywhere. Um, it really is sort of that Marshall in a box recorded sound, not raw sound. So that's what I really loved about it. And unfortunately, though, it's pretty loud, so you have to really bring the master volume down on it. But Dave created such a good master volume that even when it's low, it has enough bottom end, so it doesn't sound like fizzy or tinny. It really is a great amp. Let me catch up with your comments. Guitar Max, yeah, maybe Guitar Max would be cool. Daryl Braun, maybe, since he's a fellow Canadian, fellow Canuck. Maybe I'll reach out to him. I'll take down all these guys' names. Arnold plays guitar. A lot of them I don't know, guys, so I would have to check them out. So Glenn says the best cheapy pedal he has is a Donner Golden Tremolo. I got one too, but it's not a Donner. It's this guy. It might be the same company making them. This is a Joyo tremolo. Very inexpensive, but it works well. I like it a lot. I haven't sold it yet, but I really don't have much use for tremolo usually in my playing, unless I'm playing, something from Pink Floyd or something like Money or that sound. You have to get a tremolo that really can do that really quickly. Not all of them can. So let's see here. People think the ODR is like a tube screamer because it's green, but to my ears, it's more of a full range, natural sounding overdrive that all the Nashville guys use. I heard about it from Danish Pete. Interesting. So I'll have to definitely check that one out then. I'm all for like natural sounding overdrives. If it's too colored, I find it just like robs the tone from the amp and you're always struggling with it. I have the one I just reviewed. Oh, it's still on my. Is it still on my pedal board? No, I took it out. I reviewed the Rev. This guy here. Oh, here it is. The G series. I did a little pedal review on this guy, and it's an interesting pedal. It really is, but it plays better with certain amps than others. I find if you go with a darker amp, it sounds a little bit better. Definitely with humbuckers sounds good. If you go with an amp that's a little bit too bright, it could get a little bit harsh, but all you have to do is really dial down the treble and the middle a little bit. But it's really cool. A lot of people think it's a tube screamer too because it's green, but it's not. It's just green because it's the green channel of the Rev amp that they have. And it works really well. Looks like it's built super well as well. And I haven't used it enough, but I've tried it with the Dirty Shirley, and it really does add a little bit more oomph to it and give you a little bit more controls because it does have the bass, treble, mid, volume, gain, and it has a little switch here that you can go into the blue channel or the red channel, depends on what kind of clipping you like. So interesting pedal, not an inexpensive pedal, however, so it wouldn't qualify for the question of the day, but I thought I'd just talk about that really briefly because that was one of the latest ones that I actually worked on reviewing. I'm exactly like the Gospel of Mark, right? I'll buy gear, but I will sell something to replace it with. The only thing is that I might not sell something first, because if the deal's good, I don't want to miss the opportunity. So I'll just like, I'll go out and I'll buy it, and then afterwards I'll, you know, sell whatever's on the chopping block and put the money towards that particular purchase. There's a couple of things I have on the chopping block right now as well, guys. So I don't know if you guys are in the market for anything, but basically right now I might be selling, I mentioned it last time as well, I might be selling my Squire Contemporary Strat, one of them, the white one that you've seen in a couple of reviews. So if any of you are interested in that, let me know. Maybe we can work out some kind of a deal. And I might be selling my Base Breaker 15, and we'll talk about that later. I'll explain to you why that is, because basically it boils down to gas, right? The base, the Bulgara 22s. I've been actually looking at a couple of Bulgaras. I haven't played one yet, and there was a couple of the couple of units that they have that are very inexpensive, and I thought it would be great to have as like a backup kind of amplifier. And I was looking on the used market for one, but I didn't find one at the price I was looking for. But they tend to sound pretty good, so I don't know. Eventually, I might check them out. The thing about the Bulgara is a lot of people say that it's, you know, the quality control might not always be so good, so you don't know if they're going to break down on you. They have the big monster head, which sounds great, but it's like 150 watts. Why would they do that? Why would they create an amp at 150 watts? It doesn't make sense. Nobody needs that kind of power anymore. Everybody's going the other way, so they should actually be making less powerful amplifiers for home use, and they're popping out with 150 watt heads, which I think is kind of like shooting themselves in the foot. I'm not sure. I'm not sure how many people need that kind of power anymore. Victor's made me laugh. He says in Jurassic Park, who was the one that survived? The dino. So I guess he's saying, you know, pedals are going to be around for a while. So I got a question from Peter here. He says, I'm looking for a $200 guitar. So what would you recommend? I'm a beginner and that will be my first electric guitar. For 200 bucks, let me think here. I mean, 200 bucks, I would first of all suggest you go used, because, you know, for 200 bucks you can get a 450 buck guitar, maybe 400, around there. I would say, depending on, I don't know what style you're playing, if you just want like a Strat style guitar, or if you want Gibson style guitar or whatever. If it's a Strat style guitar, I really think that the classic vibes that are out there right now used are great value for the money. If you can find one around that price range, you may be able to find one at that price range. Harley Benton also, you'll be able to get a guitar around that price depending on where you're located. But I'm actually eyeing one right now, and I'm trying not to pull the trigger on it. But it's not necessarily a guitar that everybody would like. Maybe I could pop it on the screen and show you what it is. Very inexpensive. So let me just see if I can share my screen with you guys. Just one sec. Okay, let me just pop this up here. I don't know if you can see that. So that is the Harley Benton double cut junior. Single cut junior. And I've been really eyeing this guitar for a while now because it just looks great. It's 195 bucks plus 49 bucks for shipping in the States. Looks fantastic to me. It's got one P90 pickup. It's got a wraparound tail bridge, sort of like the classic um, Juniors had. The Roswell pickups on them, when I tried it on the Roswell pickups on the Gold Top that I bought, sounded great. So I'm sure that'll be plenty for me. I don't really need a neck pickup because honestly, I'm mostly in the bridge position anyway. I'm not really crazy about the tuners on it. I feel they look a little bit cheap, but that could be upgraded without too much money. The black looks great. The heel on this guitar is like blends right into the body. Looks really nice. And I think it even has a slight tummy tuck. Could it be? Not a tummy tuck, but an arm tuck. Because on the one of the pictures, I think it's this one, there's a little shadow here that looks to me like it could be a little arm tuck cut into it. So for me, this guitar would be great for a beginner, I think. I mean, the specs on it look pretty good. What do we have here? We have a mahogany body, set in neck, regular standard Amaranth fretboard that looks like it basically looks like rosewood, and jumbo frets as well. Three ply pick guard. I mean, honestly, guys, for the price they're selling it, you can't go wrong. So maybe if you're into this style guitar, this might not be for everybody in terms of looks, but if you're into that style guitar, maybe it's for you. I don't know. Just a thought. All right, so that's something I could recommend. If money is not a if is not a concern, then you can get something a little bit more expensive if you like. But to me, that's a great option. Paul says that when he plays a modeler, he feels like he's miming to a pre-recorded track of what I played earlier. It's all about harmonics. When you're using a modeler and you're not using a real amp, the sound is not bad. It's good, but it's the harmonic overtones that you get with an amplifier are not there. So it feels different. But I mean, for certain things, that's fine. Certain times you might not need more than that. You might be able to do plenty of what you want to do. So it all depends. I mean, I like I said, I switch back and forth. I really do. So yeah, I agree with Fat Philosopher. That's another guitar that they have. The Yamaha Pacifica is a nice guitar. It's actually well built. And actually, Yamaha has another guitar that is, I don't know the model on that one, but I've seen a few YouTubers using it. It's sort of like double cut. Maybe somebody could tell me the actual model. I don't know which one it is. But that one looks pretty good as well. And Yamaha does make solid gear. Victor says he's got a carbon copy. I have one too. I wouldn't consider them cheap, however. They're like, on the used market, they're like 150, 180, something around there, Canadian. Also, Alan says maybe Ibanez, ESP, Epiphone too. Definitely can go the Epiphone route, but for $200, I'm not really sure. I guess you could probably get an Ibanez for 250 or around there. It depends on what kind of music you play. Don't go too low end on the Ibanez guitars, because the really low end ones are like the Geos and stuff, leave a lot to be desired. The best is just to, try a bunch of guitars. Go to your local shop, try a bunch of them. If there's a shop in your area that sells used gear, check those out and play as many as you can. And the one that feels right is the one that's for you, man. That's all I can say. You have to really play them. The Boss pedals are definitely like solid units. You can't beat Boss for durability and so the Boss ME75 and only a Dirty Shirley pedal drive is what it currently have. The Dirty Shirley pedal is not cheap though, right? Did you buy that one used or brand new? And I've also heard that the Fender, like Francis says, the Fender, that's the Fender emulated pedal, I guess, the American sound from Joyo, and I think Donner has some as well that they emulate different types of amplifiers. Good advice here from Cool Tunes Made Easy. All my pedals have been borrowed and not returned back conveniently. Never lend out your pedals. I agree with you. They tend to stay when you lend them out. They don't come back really quick. I really saw I laughed when I saw this pedal that Fat Philosopher's referring to, this Miku pedal. It's really a useless pedal, and it's just like it sounds like a voice, and when you play it, it really just, I don't know what the point is of this pedal, but if you have an opportunity, check out a YouTube video of this pedal. I don't know how many they sold, but they might have sold a lot just because it's funny. I don't know. Paul says guys that buy old sonically inferior pedals are today's stamp collectors. Yeah, I guess so. I mean, to a certain degree, everybody wants a clone, right? Everybody wants an old Tube Screamer. But then when you watch some reviews where they're actually putting them side by side and comparing them to other type of gear that sometimes is a very inexpensive, you're actually like surprised how close they get, right? And how much of it is fluff. I had a really old chorus pedal from Boss, the chorus pedal that everybody wants. Um, yeah, it sounded okay, but I ended up selling it because I had other things that sounded just like it and were able to do more. So I don't really attach myself too much to gear. You know what I mean? Like if it's good, I keep it. If it's not good or not practical, it's gone. So like I was saying about the bass breaker amplifier. So I have a bass breaker 15. I used it in a review, and it really is a interesting sounding amp from Fender. I think actually right now it's the Fender amp that has the most balls for me, and it does have a great sound. But unfortunately, I'm thinking about getting rid of it now because I got gas for something else. And I shouldn't have seen the video, but I did. I was just, doing the YouTube thing and just watching stuff, and I came across the Black Star, the JJN20. And I don't know if you guys know about this. It just came out. They had an older version, which was a head and a cabinet, but now they're coming out with a combo. And this is basically a signature series, I guess, for Jared James Nichols. If you guys don't know who he is, I didn't know who he was. So I'm not buying this amplifier or thinking about buying this amplifier because I'm a fan. I'm only a fan now because I started watching some of his videos because I wanted to really hear the sound of the amp. And the guy's a fantastic player, man. And he seems like a really nice guy too. I don't know if you guys know who I'm talking about, but check him out on YouTube. He's got a lot of stuff out there, and he's playing with a lot of people. Jared James Nichols, and he's got a song called "Threw Me to the Wolves." And basically, his sound is kind of, I would say, a little bit retro sounding. Like he sounds a lot to me like the sounds that you would hear on Bad Company, that kind of like raw guitar, like no frills, but he has a great tone. And he also has a great looking guitar that I would probably enjoy using. It's an Epiphone as well, his signature model, and it's basically it looks like a Black Beauty, but it has only one P90 in the bridge and just two knobs, volume and tone, no switch, and it's black. It's like a flat black, and it looks great, sounds great, and I would love to have one of those guitars. Unfortunately, again, I don't have unlimited cash, so who knows? But the amplifier blew my socks off, and the thing is that combo amp is 20 watts. I'll actually here. Let me put it on the screen for you. We'll talk about it very briefly here, so you can see what I'm talking about. All right, so this is the amp. There's not a whole lot of information on it yet because it's brand new. It just like came out, and the fact that it came out during like COVID and everything, I feel that it might not get the attention that it well deserves. But it's basically a 20-watt amplifier. It's got ECC83 preamp valves. It's got EL84 power amp valves. It's got it's a Celestion G12T75 speaker in it as well. Beautiful racing green covering with the basket weave in the front of it, so it has that kind of retro look to it. It's got a couple of different voices. It's got a clean and a blues power, he calls it, channel. And fuck me if this thing doesn't sound good. It really does. And I basically tried to consume every video that I could find of this amplifier, whether it was Jared playing it or someone else. And honestly, it really sounded good. Whether it justifies the price, I mean, it's still about $1,000. The combo is. I'm not looking at the head and cabinet because I have enough heads. I really want something small that I'd be able to take with me, and 20 watts is perfect because he's like the sound at 20 watts is enough to play with a band, and I just at this point I'm thinking that would fit my tone, what I'm after, better than the Blues Breaker. So unfortunately, I think the Blues Breaker is going to go. I could still be wrong. I'm going to bring it in. I want to get one. But the problem is that there's limited quantities, and it's a limited edition, guys. I forgot to mention that. As far as I know, there's only 20 in Canada. So they're going to go fast. So it actually might even be difficult for me to get one. But if I can get one, I'll do a review and ultimately decide if it's a keeper or if I end up selling the Blues Breaker. But definitely, I feel that, yeah, he's kind of like, for those of you who know his tone, he's kind of like a mashup. You know, he does have some Jimmy Page type licks, Bad Company, definitely. Very bluesy, plays with his fingers, so he does have a very different, unique tone to his style of playing. So maybe that, also lends itself well to that type of amplifier. But anyway, I got an immediate boner when I saw that amplifier, and it rarely happens that I get that these days, especially since I do have some very nice amps as it is. So it really has to be something special for me to keep it. Um, but I can't wait to try one and get one and see and see what it can do and how well it fits in, because the sound basically says it all for me. I don't think a lot of people know about this particular model yet, and I've looked at Blackstar amplifiers quite a bit in the past. I've never actually pulled the trigger on one because they were always like close but no cigar. You know, the HT series, which I guess was kind of a little, I guess is part of the foundation for this amp, sounded okay, but wasn't really there yet. The Artist series sounded pretty good, but then didn't have maybe enough gain. And I think what he did was he probably mashed those two together, the HT and the Artist, and and I think he hit the nail on the head with this one. So if there's no like quality control issues or anything, I think this amp is going to be a really great seller for them. And even if it isn't, I don't really care as long as it sounds good. You know, that's the thing. A lot of people claim that the Blackstar amps maybe are not always as reliable, but I don't know. I've never tried one, so I can't really say. Maybe the earlier ones did that or had like some maybe weren't as roadworthy or something like that. But I mean, look, there's guys like Neil Sean from Journey. He's an endorser of the product, and I think that's one of the issues with Black Stars. They don't have any big name endorsees, uh, and like guys like Jared, not a lot of people know him yet. So, you know, if they had somebody that was a big name endorsing them, I think they would have a better opportunity to sell their stuff because I think their stuff sounds pretty good, you know. But they are definitely competing with that Marshall territory as well. So, you know, I was actually considering before making thinking about getting this amp. I was thinking of getting the Marshall Studio Plexi. But this amplifier seems to be like a Swiss Army knife. It has a lot more features, functions, different sounds, a great clean, a good drive, and a lot of bite. So I decided to try for this one first. We'll see. The bass breaker does sound awesome. I agree. That's why I bought it. I thought it was like a great amplifier. I still do, but I just feel that to my ears, at least through the videos, the Black Star is closer to what I'm looking for. I like that Jimmy Page tone, that raw Jimmy Page tone, and I think I can get it out of the Black Star. The bass breaker, not so much without maybe pedals and stuff like that. You can still get it, but it's slightly different. It's very subtle, guys. I agree. Friends don't keep friends' pedals, they give them back. Totally agree. That's why I never lend out my pedals, very rarely. I have a buddy I lent like 6 pedals and he still has them after a few years. He might actually not have them anymore. I might give him a call and just remind him. So Casey says, if I'm gonna buy my first pedal, what is that? Boss pedal OD1. I'm gonna try one used one first. Try one. Okay, so he wants to try a used pedal first. Casey, I would say like first determine what you need, because like don't just go out and buy a pedal because you think you need a pedal. Like a lot of beginner guitar players, they just buy pedals because they think it's gonna be it's going to be like making them sound better, and they absolutely need one. But I don't think that's the case. I think really it's you don't really need pedals all the time. If you have a good amplifier, you might not need one. Learn what you need first, is what I'm saying. Don't just go out buying stuff willy-nilly, because you're going to waste a lot of time and money. I had a friend, we're talking about people keeping your gear, right? I had a friend of mine who had a Marshall Plexi, an original Marshall Plexi, a vintage one. I played through it. It sounded great. Great amplifier. And he lent it to somebody, and apparently it disappeared. He never got it back, and I don't know if it was stolen or what, but anyways, he never got it back. So you can be stingy with your gear, guys. Victor's lucky, man. He lives in Puerto Rico, and he says used carbon copies about $70. That's not bad. They're not about $70 here. They're in Canada. I think they're about 100 and between 130, 130, 150, something around there. I would say, if I had to, on the topic of pedals, like what pedal you would need if you want to like get something good, you don't need that many. I mean, honestly, there's only a couple of pedals that I would opt for at the beginning. I would say, like, if you got yourself an overdrive pedal, get yourself, and if you're playing in a live situation, an EQ pedal, and maybe like a reverb or a delay. Start with that. If you're really looking at expanding your sound, because you need to get familiar with the pedals first, because then it's not only the amplifier that's going to affect your tone, it's all the pedals in between. And then if you buy like pedals that are not performing well, I find a lot of young players that start off, then they get a little bit frazzled and confused, and then their sound becomes like muddy and not very good. So really, start with one, make sure you know how to use that pedal first, and then expand from there when you really need it. But first, try and get all of the sound that you can get out of the guitar and amp combo first before you buy anything else. Yeah, that happens, man. Lent my buddy an old PV amp 30 years ago, asked for it back, stopped talking to me. He's the one that got me started in guitar. So grateful for that, at least. Well, that sucks, man. If you let gear like get in the way of a friendship, that sucks. But maybe, if that happened, maybe he's not that much of a good friend to begin with. So maybe it's no big loss. So I wanted to take a couple of moments also to answer a couple of questions that people had, because I was going through some of them, and it's a good opportunity for me to answer these when I have a moment here with you guys. And here, I'll just share them with you guys here. So it's really small for me to read, but I'll try my best. This was on the Squire Contemporary Series video that I did, and the question said, it was basically just a comment saying I enjoyed the review, especially because you didn't use it to show off your guitar skills, like most other reviewers. Actually, my guitar skills are not that great, so there's not a whole lot to show off, unfortunately, because I spend most of my time putzing around instead of practicing. But not a lot of viewers actually feel that way. I appreciate that comment, but a lot of viewers, give me shit because they're like, oh, you talk too much and you don't play enough, So I'm trying to balance off the videos a little bit better so that I can do both, but it's not always easy, I try my best, guys. I try my best. The The review I did on the Fender Road Worn as well. Um, so one of the viewers is like, that he says that it's impossible to get in that color. Now, I didn't have trouble getting the Road Worn in that color when I initially bought it, but I guess now maybe I don't know if they've discontinued that particular color or what, but or maybe it's just a popular color. um, I don't know. It really, if it is harder to find these days, I guess um, maybe people are just snagging them up. They're more popular. I know that one was an older model. So then on the TC electronic polytune, they're basically the question was if I'm still using the same tuner and how is it held up. I like the polytune. I like the TC electronic stuff. The only thing I don't like about TC electronics is their customer support. It's really hard to get through to them. If you have a problem, it's almost impossible. It's all through like automated emails and whatnot. I like to be able to talk to somebody on the phone, and it's almost impossible to do that with them. So, but I like the Polytune 3. I specifically bought that tuner because it has a built-in buffer, and I really felt that it was making the sound better. So that was a good buy for me. Fat Philosopher says, Tony, you can't play any worse than 60 Cycle Hum does. 60 Cycle Hum, I gotta check him out. If he plays worse than me, maybe I'll have him on the show. I'm kidding. Hey, look, guys, everybody does the best they can, right? Everybody does the best they can. It's not easy to perform in front of the camera, especially when you're trying to do a review and you're playing and you have a camera going and you have, sound going and you're checking 3 devices. You're trying to make sure it doesn't clip and you're trying to get it on the first take and your guitar keeps going out of tune and you keep getting interrupted by the dog or the wife or the kids. I don't think you guys understand the struggle. So you have to have a little bit of patience for YouTubers. Thanks for the kind words. Alan says he prefers the way I do the reviews. The others show off making a distorted racket, and then you have no information on the item. Well, one thing I have to say is that for me, if there's a YouTuber playing a guitar, an amplifier, or whatever, and they're playing with a backing track, for me it's useless because that tells me nothing about how the guitar sounds. I actually prefer to watch a YouTuber that has a hard time playing and is recording it with an iPhone or something like that in a room just regularly than somebody that's doing a slick backing track production, because you can make a guitar sound like anything you want once it's been processed, and raw information for me is much better. I base my buying opinions on that. So at least he loves guitars like all of us guys. Yeah, I mean he can't be a bad guy, right? If he loves guitars, I'm gonna make a point of reaching out to him and seeing if he wants to be on the show. When buying used guitars, is it important to have a hard shell case included? I mean, look, if you could get a hard shell case in the deal, I would say that is it definitely sweetens the deal. I try. I mean, you're gonna have to spend money to get a case for it as well, anyway. So you might as well try and get one thrown in. They rarely do on the cheaper ones. Sometimes on the more expensive guitars, you can get a case with it, but definitely buy a case. I won't recommend anyone keeping guitars outside of a case. I mean, I have my guitars here on a stand. These are the ones that I play like on a daily basis, so I keep them here. Otherwise, I have to go digging around in cases. But if I'm not playing guitar every day, then it goes into a case. Strat 5150 says I can't find a 339 kit. Where have you looked? There's is build your own guitar kits. Did you try them? I think they're adding new things on their website now. They might have one. Do you still keep your GS12, GS11? Yes, definitely. I have it. I still, is it on my rack? Yeah, it's right there. It's in the rack. Yeah, I like that guitar. I like the way it plays. Really nice. And actually, that's a pretty good starter guitar as well, if you just want to upgrade the pickups on it. I forgot about that one. But yeah, you can definitely get that one for about $200, around there. The LP hollow body kit looks kind of cool. Yeah, you definitely have to have a lot of time on your hands, though. That's one thing I'm gonna say. You gotta have a lot of time on your hands, especially with the hollow body kits and the binding and scraping the binding. Man, I have a whole new respect for the guys that do that. I mentioned it in my video, but I mean, it really takes a lot of time, and at the end of it, you might not have something as good as you thought it was going to come out, and then you're kind of living with it. You kind of have to stay with it, right? Because you're too far in. My 335 is actually coming out quite nice. I was actually still painting it yesterday. It's an ongoing project, so I'm into it. About 2 cans of lacquer. Now I'm actually into it. Sorry, 3.5, three cans of lacquer now. I actually bought 4 cans of lacquer, so by the time I'm finished, the top coat is going to be at least 4 cans of lacquer thick. But it's coming along nicely. I didn't really like the white binding, so I actually sprayed it with a little bit of a really light, like an oak color, and it gives the binding more of a classic look to it, which I really like. So it's coming along very nicely. And by the time I'm done, I'm hoping it's going to be a rock and roll guitar, man. Um, Once I finish spraying the lacquer on that guitar, I'm going to let it dry for at least a week, probably more. Just let it hang there. Now that it's really warm, hopefully before it gets humid here, it'll have enough time to dry. Then it's to the sanding process. Sanding process means wet sanding, starting at about 600 grit, moving all the way up to about 2000 grit, and then buffing it with some polish compound. It's going to be interesting, man. I can't wait for it to be done. And I got to think about a headstock decal. So maybe maybe my daughter can actually draw me something. She's a good artist. Maybe I'll do something like that. 60 cycle hum guy is a perfect fit to have on. His playing is more than adequate, and I'm a guy that will take on anyone in a shredding contest. Okay, I'll reach out to him. You guys convinced me. I don't have much room for all these cases. I like my double gig bag that holds 2 guitars. Yeah, what I do is actually I bought myself 2 racks, those stainless steel racks that have like 6 shelves, and I put about 2 guitars per shelf, and I keep them off the ground in their cases. But yeah, I'm running out of space too. I don't have space for all of them, so I'm gonna have to sell some. Corky Cat, hey, how's it going? So he changed his order. I got an Epiphone Les Paul Tribute. Comes with Gibson 57s. I love 57s. Better guitar. Also got a Focusrite. The plan being to be able to play along with YouTube vids, backing tracks, and hopes that it works. Sure it will, man. Well, congratulations on the guitar. Give us some updates once you have it. 60 Cycle Hum is the laziest reviewer out there. At NAMM, he tried to review the Ibanez Yvette model, young model. Didn't take 5 minutes to find out who she is. Yeah, well, there's a lot of shit going on at those shows, man. Um, is it worth buying the GS12 or the GS11? Will be good enough. Yeah, I mean, they're both great guitars. Just try them both, and see which one you like better. I mean, you can't go wrong with either one. And like I said, it's just the pickups. Maybe you want to upgrade, and possibly the tuners. But for a beginner guitar, it should be fine. There's nothing worse than ordering a guitar or something and then realizing that the guitar is smashed up, or you open the box and there's something wrong with it. It's like, oh no. Cool tunes made easy. Love that DUI 335. Yeah, it's a great kit, man. I'm hoping and I'm praying that the actual neck and pocket, the way it's actually been routed, is good, because it's really hard to tell if there's like little deviations. And in the end, once that's in and you start the process of dyeing it and sanding it and everything, you'll only find out whether or not there's an issue when you install the bridge and you install the strings. And at that point, you spend a lot of time on the guitar. So I'm hoping, keeping my fingers crossed, that everything will work out in the end. I love John. John Segaborn is the tone man. And I like the way he plays too, because you'll notice, like, you know, he's not a fantastic player. What he does is he chops up his videos, right? He'll probably just play like for an hour and then take the clips that are rocking, and he basically gets into a groove, which I find is fine, and it's actually better than having to listen to somebody play a song or something like that, because he gives you a couple of samples of different styles of his playing, sometimes more aggressive, sometimes softer, more melodic. And I've tried to adopt that kind of technique as well, so I can, in a short video, try and give you a lot of different playing samples. Um, but I love John. I mean, I don't know where he gets his stuff from, but the guy's got access to like vintage gear up the wazoo, and I love watching his videos. Thing is, after a while, they're all kind of the same. And I noticed that because he blasts it, he really cranks them up so loud. That's why he's got the ear protectors on. And after a while, it's like they kind of all start sounding the same, or there's not that much difference within. So it gets a little bit repetitive after a while. But he's an interesting fellow to watch. So 5150 says the build your own CTSHT on build your own guitar.com looks nice. I have to check that out. I don't know which one that is. Give me a sec. Let me just pop that up here. See if I can find it that quickly here. They have a lot of stuff. I know that they added some stuff on their site now. So excuse me while I try to type and not make a mistake here. Let's see if I can pull it up with their search. Where is it? SH2. I don't see it here. Oh man. I wish their algorithms would work better, but let's see here. I'll go to guitar kits. And I guess I'll have to scroll. What is it? It's semi-hollow body, I guess. And it's the SH2. Yeah, there it is. I see it now. The carved top. So it's a combination. It's kind of like between, here, let me see if I can share it with everyone here. So it's kind of like a combo between like a 335 and maybe a PRS style body like that. Interesting, yeah. And the neck on this guitar, what does that look like? Let me see if I can forward and get some more pictures. There we go. There's the neck. So the neck kind of looks like a almost like a Harley Benton, actually. It's got the binding around it as well. Interesting. Yeah, it's a cool guitar. 245 bucks. Well, dude, you know, if you're going to go that route, by the time you're finished, you're going to be into it probably, if you don't already have the supplies that you need, you're gonna add at least 150 bucks. Then if you're getting into hardware, probably more. So yeah, it's not a cheap thing. Jack is still waiting for his guitar kit from Toman. Which one did you order, Jack? Paul says he's a great guy too. Who are we talking about, Paul? Sorry, I lost the train of the conversation here. I think we're talking about 60 cycle hum, if I'm not mistaken, right? You know what? I've discovered that a lot of the YouTubers that I've reached out to are great people, man. You know, they all want to give something back, and I feel that I haven't come across anyone who's a real a-hole or anything like that. You know, they all have their own little thing going, and overall, great guys. I mean, Jonathan's a super guy. Like I said, Buddha, super guy. Nick in the States seems like a really cool guy as well. These are all guys I'd love to have a beer with and just shoot the shit with, you know? So Cool Tunes Made Easy says, seriously want to get the DIY 335, but maybe going over my head. I've never done anything like that other than replacing strings and shave the nut or truss rod adjustment. You know what? My advice is this, okay? If you haven't built a guitar or finished a guitar, the finishing is really the critical part of it. Getting a guitar to look good in terms of painting is not easy. There's really a whole bunch of steps involved, and if you don't do the steps in order correctly, and you don't have a good place to actually paint your guitar, it's not an easy thing. It's a real challenge. I'm doing this in my garage. My garage is not, it's not dust proof. It smells when you're painting with a lacquer. It really smells. You really need a respirator. You got to open the door, and you get like draft, and then you get dust in it, in the lacquer and everything. So I would say like start with something easy. You know, if you want to start with a project and you want to see if you can pull it off, start with something like a Telecaster, because a Telecaster body doesn't have binding. It's flat. It's relatively easy to paint. You don't have to worry about painting the neck and the headstock because you can just, it's a bolt on. Way, way, way easier. And then work your way up to a hollow body. Because I'm telling you, man, a set neck, once it's glued in, that's it, man. If it's glued in wrong, the guitar's toast. You can't take it. You can't take it apart anymore, unless you use hide glue. And a lot of people don't use hide glue; they use wood glue. Then basically it's a wall hanger. Max wants to know how many guitars I own. Good question, Max. I think at last count, probably over 20. I'm not really, I think over 20. I kind of lose track. I have to do a mental count. Um, but the number changes all the time because there's new stuff coming in, there's other stuff going out. So I want to take a moment also to talk about this, guys. Before I forget, I finally got the Mad Hatter stuff. I mean, I've been waiting for this thing for so long. I don't know if you guys know what this is. This is the Terminator DVD-T 3T. And what it is Mad Hatter makes these products. And what they are basically, I'll show you. It's all the components that you need to set up a guitar with a solderless electronics, basically. So in here you have, these are two stacked pots. I'll show you what they look like. So they're two stacked pots. They have little terminals on them that you can actually just slip in the wires, and you don't have to solder anything, right? So they're like mini pots, right? But they're well made and they're designed so that you don't have to solder anything, right? So I have, this is for a Les Paul system. So I have 4 of these pots. I have the output jack here. I have, so the other 2 pots. And I have the switch, good quality switch here. You can see that. And then I also have the caps in there and all the like little wires that you need to set this up. So the idea is to then have a system that is it's a system that you don't need to solder in place. So if you want to, change pickups or whatnot, you can do that easily. And apparently what their claim to fame is that the tonal difference with the kits are a lot better in terms of quality. So I want to get this installed in a guitar. I've been waiting for this. It just took forever to get here. I don't know why, but a big thank you for them to send this out to me. And I want to put this in a guitar. Originally, I was going to put it into the Fusion from Harley Benton, but the Fusion has like a switch on it for coil splitting, and this is a system that is actually made for humbuckers. So I got to put this into one of my Les Pauls, and I don't know which one to put it into right now because my Tokai sounds fantastic the way it is. I don't want to touch it. It's got classic regular wiring in it. It doesn't have one of those Gibson drop-in kits, which are useless in my opinion, and I take those out. My other Les Paul that I have, my standard, I removed the harness that comes with it from Gibson because I really didn't like it. So I took that out and I went to a wireless kit also, which is from Obsidian, and that works really well. So I left that in. Now I have another Les Paul, but that one's already been modified to go with standard wiring. So I don't want to mess with that. So I guess there's only 2 options. I can go with my Black Beauty Tokai and try to put it in that guitar, or in my Bacchus Les Paul style guitar as well. So one of those 2 are going to be the donor guitars for this system. So I'm not sure which one I'm going to put it into yet. I'm trying to think about it because I want to put it into a guitar that I don't feel like I'm going to want to sell. Those 2 guitars so far have been keepers for me. I'm leaning more towards the Black Beauty, but I haven't decided yet. So stay tuned for that. I'll probably shoot a video of myself installing this into the actual guitar. So if you guys want to see what the process is, I can show you what that is. But I'm looking forward to it, man. It's going to be interesting. And I still have to shoot a video, and I feel really bad about the Jalen pickups that I installed in my Fusion. I changed the pickups in there, and from the Roswell to the Jalen pickups. Jalen pickups sound great. I want to do a review. I promised I'd make a review for him and put it up, and I just didn't have the time. So that's going to be coming soon as well. I want to get a full humbucker size Filtertron type pickup for a project. Anyone have any suggestions? What about Porter pickups? I think they have some. Let me check this out for you. They definitely make some great pickups. Hold on, let me just... And I think they have Filtertrons, if I'm not mistaken. Let me just go to their website here. They have a whole bunch of pickups, so... humbucker size pickups, here we go. And Filtertrons, eh? Yeah, they call them Portertron pickups. So let me just show you that. All right, let me just share my screen. There we go. So here you go, Mark. Portertron humbuckers, full-size version of our Portertron. And what this is, if you look at it here, it's not cheap, man. It's 260 bucks, okay? But they make great pickups. Check it out on their website. They have some tone information. They have sound samples, clean bridge samples, dirty samples as well. There's a whole bunch there. So the website is porterpickups.com, and Portertron are the ones that they have. Maybe you want to look at a couple of reviews, but that's the one I would recommend. How many guitars is too many? I would say if you're not playing a guitar regularly, it's too many. That means gotta go. Sell it, get something else. I usually do round robin on my guitars all the time. Sometimes one is too many if you suck at playing guitar, honestly. Hey, thanks for the comment, man. Best guitar site with nice people with live chat. Thank you very much. I'm humbled. But I couldn't do it without you guys, and you guys are awesome, I gotta say. When you're tripping over your guitars to get to the fridge, that means you have enough guitars. Good thing is that in our house we have two double closets about 14 by 5, and one of them is all mine for my guitars, and it's in the extra bedroom. You know what? Same here. My man cave. That's where I keep them. So 5150 says you can't unselect paint grade body. Okay. I think they're all paint grade bodies, because what that means is that they've probably been sanded already. I mean, they're ready to go, which is what you want. Quirky Cat says, am I going to leave the 335 satin or gloss? Well, it's already gloss because the lacquer that I've been using is a gloss. It's not a matte. So it's already pretty glossy. So I went that route because I figured at that point, when I start a flat level sanding it, it's going to be easy for me to bring it back to a nice gloss. I like the gloss, but because I use the lacquer because it wears very easily. So you're going to see that guitar is going to be banged up in no time because lacquer stays soft for a long time. So as soon as you do something with it, it's gonna be almost like a road worn 335 very fast. You'll see. Another channel you can support, Brian Bauer in Nova Scotia. I'll take note of that, man. They seem like all great suggestions, and I hope they'll be willing to come on my show, and maybe I can go on their show as well. Lucas Fowler, that's another one. I think I'm familiar with his channel. I think I watched it a couple of times. Jack Collins says you ordered the single cut kit. Nice choice. I like the single cuts, and they're pretty easy. I think it's gonna be okay to build that one. The single cuts are almost like Telecaster kits, in my opinion, in terms of difficulty. ZD351, hey man, I haven't seen you in a while. How's it going? Nice to see you around. George, you're late. What happened? Thank you for joining, man. Appreciate that. I'm glad you like Jonathan, Victor. Yeah, he's a cool guy. He really is, and he's a great player, man. You should check him out, and check out his singing, man. It blew my socks off. I would never imagine him to have a voice like that. I mean, I'm not trying to be like rude or anything. It's just that his voice is great, and it's like I never realized. Sometimes guitarists can't really sing, right? But he can. Yeah, the pots do look small on the kit. You're right. These guys. But let me just see if I can make out what kind of pots they are for you. They have to be small in a sense because the wires have to go in and everything. You need a little bit of room to work, right? Um, so all I can see here is MHGP 2007. So I don't know what brand this is. And I'm not even sure why they're stacked. Not sure why they're stacked like that. I gotta ask. Because it's not a push-pull. It's not a push-pull pot or anything. Hmm. Quirky Cat says you won't regret the MH upgrade. Excellent gear. Yeah, the famous line John used all the time. John, I call him John. Joanne is okay. Let's get started. I love when he says that. Okay, let's get started. That's his tagline. I don't know what the quality is. I honestly don't know. It's the first time I'm going to use this kit, so um, it could fail. I really don't know. We're going to find out. Yeah, the solderless kit for me is good because the biggest issue with soldering, um, when you're soldering pickups in and out of guitars regularly, like I do, because I rarely keep the same pickups in the guitar for a long time, the pots end up getting like too hot and they fail. So when you go with a wireless system, a solderless system like that, you have more life, and you could definitely get more life on your system. Um, so I would say that if you're swapping pickups regularly, definitely check that out because it's another way of getting extended life out of your stuff. If you don't change your pickups often, you might not need it. My fusion just has a hole right now after I put in the P90s. Yeah, that's it. You have the little. I would have just left the switch in there. Just leave it in there. It's better than a hole, right? I don't know about that. Like, who else is making solderless systems beyond? I know the Obsidian. I know Mad Hatter. I don't know anybody else though. A kill switch would be cool. You can do something like Eddie Van Halen. You have the little button that he presses, tick, 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 so you can do the stutter effects. Maybe a mini kill switch, something like that. I wouldn't recommend on a hollow body because when you're putting the stuff in a hollow body, it's a real pain, man. You gotta shove everything inside the F hole, and the wires have to be soldered in real nice because they can basically break and become detached, and then you're like starting over again. That's the worst thing I like to do. The thing that's a contradiction. The thing I like to do the least is install pickups and hardware, electronic hardware in a 335. It really is a pain. Quirky Cat said that he has one of Electric Ed's V early systems. Still works great. All I did was blue Loctite, non-permanent, solves the worry about loose wiring. Well, you know what? If it's in a Gibson style guitar, if the wire comes loose, it's no big deal. Just pop off the back cap and just retighten it. It's like 2 seconds. I'm not that worried about that. I'd like to know what you think of that wireless kit. I have you Hardluck King's Bondsman. I need to upgrade pups and electronics on. Plays great, but I need a little help on the tone. Yeah, I'm definitely going to do a review, guys. Definitely. Once I have it installed, I'll do a play sample and I'll give you my opinion. Good idea. Having worked all my life in electronics, screw terminals are a source of trouble. Probably. I mean, again, this is a test. We're going to see, right? But the thing is, I mean, it's not a make or break thing. I mean, if the wire comes loose, it's not a big deal. We can easily put that back, right? Yeah, the Porters are great, man. I have them in a couple of my guitars. Okay, I put them in my Squire Contemporary. I have a set in a couple of other guitars as well, um, but they do sound good. Have you tried a nut extension? Guitar Pilgrim just did a review. Great if you want to try slide guitar and don't half the touch setup. Get strings about 3/8 off the neck under $10. Well, I don't really play slide. So I don't think I need something like that. What I would like to try, however, is a compensated nut. I don't know if you guys know what that is, but a compensated nut is basically a nut where the width of the nut is not equal all the way across the string. So the low E to the high E strings, the thickness of the nut will vary. It'll go in and out. And it basically compensates for the string thickness, because as soon as you press down a note on your guitar, it'll go sharp or flat depending on how your nut is cut. It's very rare that you're going to have a nut that is cut perfectly and you will be in tune when you're tuning the open strings. But try this on your guitar. Just tune your guitar to pitch and then fret like an F or a G or whatever, and you'll see that you're going to be off. It could be just slightly off, but you will be off. So you're always kind of out of tune with the guitar, because really the nut and the frets have to be compensated for it to be perfectly in tune. There's a company that makes this crazy guitar where the frets are not straight. They're actually all curved. It looks like it's been in a car accident. Steve Vai had one of those at one point. I don't know how he plays a guitar like that, but they're actually the frets are actually compensated so that the strings are always in tune no matter where you're playing the guitar. But it's really wonky. I don't know if I'd be able to play a guitar like that. Oh, so it's actually a downgrade from the Stainables. Hmm. Interesting. I'm going to check that out. I haven't really examined the website in a lot of detail, but maybe I'll try and get a kit from them as well, and compare it to the one I have now. You know, the solderless patch cables, um, I haven't had good experiences with. I've actually had a couple of them, and they never worked for me. So for patch cables, I agree with you. I would not go with solderless. Some people love them. I don't see the point. Once they're soldered properly, you should be okay. That could be right, George. Paint grade multi-piece bodies. Yeah, exactly. So there could be some defects in there, which means that it would show through if you would stain it without. So paint grade would mean you would have to put in a coat of primer and then paint it to make it seem work well. Yeah, the guitar will be high gloss. I'll be able to sand down the lacquer and make it super shiny, just like a regular store bought guitar. With a lot of elbow grease, man, it's not an easy process. It takes a lot of time. You risk getting repetitive stress syndrome when you're finishing a guitar like that. Man, do you hear my dog bark snoring? She's right under the desk. She really snores loud. I gotta maybe she has sleep apnea or something. I'm gonna have to get her a sleep machine. So I've also been considering doing podcasts. Tell me what you guys think. I know a lot of YouTubers do that as well, and I figured if I would do a Patreon account or something like that, maybe I'd do some podcasts where I'd talk about latest news, gear, that kind of thing, and provide that. But I'm just worried that I wouldn't have enough time to do everything, so I'm not sure. Give me a thumbs up if you think that's a good idea. I don't know. Give me some feedback. I'm just playing with the idea. I just want to bring more value to the channel, and I think that the live stuff is great. It really gives us a chance to connect. But I want to try and offer a little bit more. So if you guys are interested in podcasts, just let me know. My guitar tech friend says exactly the same. I'm just so heavy-handed with the soldering iron, also messy, kind of like when I was a kid with my models. Always too heavy with the glue. Yeah, you don't want to do that. I mean, when it comes to soldering, you just want to get as the perfect amount, because too much is going to give you a cold solder joint, and that's going to be weak and probably end up breaking after a while. So the trick is to have a good quality soldering iron and good quality solder. You can't skimp out on that stuff. Um, Quirky Cat says pedal or distortion for great chugga chugga sound. I'm trying to prove a point to a mate sitting next to me. Pedal or distortion. So what are you asking, like go through a pedal or straight through an amp? Is that what your question is? Or are you asking what pedal will give you a good chugga chugga sound? Bought my 11-year-old daughter an FSR Surf Green Mexico Strat. She loves it and is wanting to show all her friends. Awesome, man. Hey, you're a good dad. Get him started right. That's great. I know I've thrown my kids instruments before. Like my son now, he's got an acoustic and an electric guitar. My daughter, I've given her guitars in the past. My other daughter, I've given her drum lessons. She wanted to do drums and sing, and they're constantly changing their focus on different things. So you can't really force them to play, but you can encourage them. I'm more than happy to show them what I know and to give them some lessons, and hopefully they'll get the bug. And if they do, it's great. I would really love any of my kids to learn how to play a piano. Heck, I would love to play the piano. I have one here, and I dabble around with it from time to time. And I think it's a great, great tool if you want to learn music theory, chord construction, because all laid out there right in front of you, unlike a guitar. Great for ear training as well. Um, Here, would be nice if they put ground lugs on pots to keep them from heating the body of the pot so hot. Yeah, that's true. Some kind of like a heat sink. I mean, pots are really cheap, right? There's not much to them, right? They're inexpensive parts, so they're not gonna go too crazy on making them high tech. Alan gives us a tip here. He says you can put a solder tag under the pot threads to save heating and damaging the plastic parts in the pot. So I'm not sure what a solder tag is. I know that some people use like alligator clips to kind of like save components when they're soldering them from heating up, but I don't know if that would work for a pot. So, Fat Philosopher, what song was that? You're using 23rd and 24th frets. What do you? That's the money side, right? Of the fretboard. So what song was that? I'm curious. Okay, so SH Guitar Works says, any thoughts or experience with the channel bound strats? Strongly suggest snatching up the American standards that have them. The selects and custom shop ones are still way too pricey. Hmm. Unfortunately, I think I'm like up to my max right now with my strats. I have too many. and I have a body lying around that I'm going to build eventually as well. So I think I'm good for my strats for the moment. I'm not really tempted to buy something in the strat line for now. That's what they're called. True temperament frets. That's it. Thank you, George. Those are the frets. They're all wonky and weird looking. Hey Nam, how's it going? Nam from Vietnam. Exactly. Quirky Cats hit the nail on the head. There's really no real way of getting a perfect setup intonation with a guitar. It's just not possible. The strings will stretch, the wood will move, things will shift, and it's just not designed that way. If a perfect guitar is made, I'd love to get one. I mean, my guitars go out of tune all the time. You guys know. Even when I do my videos, sometimes I'm in the middle of it and I know the guitar's out of tune. You can hear it. You know, you hit the full um, open chord or whatever it is, and you can hear that slightly out of tune string sometimes, and it's a pain in the ass. But I'm in it already, and I'm like, you know, I try and tune as much as I can, but it's always going to go out of tune. I bend a lot in my playing, so when you're bending, especially when you have new strings on, you're going out of tune all the time. I wanted to go through another question here, and regarding the Harley Benton Fusion 2 and the Fusion T, um, there was a question about comparing the two, and by the way, do you or some other who got the Tele find the Tele pickup selector position annoying? Yeah. So that's one of the things on the Harley Benton T style guitar. I find that they put the switch further back and it's not a common place for it. So it's a little bit of a pain. You can always change that, however. Well, you can't really change it because that's unfortunately that's the way they on a regular Telecaster, you can actually flip them because you can. Some of them like to have them further back. Some of them like to have them closer to the front. You can do that, but on that one, I don't think you can. So that's. Um, so this guy says, "Thanks for the video demo, but quit the coffee. What a frantic vibrato." I watched that video. I think that was one of the pedal reviews that I did or whatever. Yeah, I have a little bit a little bit of a wild vibrato, but I don't think it was that frantic. Let's see here. There's a couple more questions. So regarding the NUX wireless guitar transmitter here. Um, so this viewer actually bought one. And he says that one of the disadvantages is that when you're playing it on a jazz bass, if you want the Terminator, not the Terminator, the transmitter to lie flat against the body, you have to flip it the other way. And that's the ugly side of it. So do I have them here? I'm going to show you what he's talking about. I don't know where it is. Anyways, the transmitter, there's a good side, let's say a nice finished side, and then there's the back side of it. And in certain guitars, you have to flip them around. But I mean, yeah, they could have made them both look nice, both sides of it. So I guess that could be a little disadvantage, but honestly, no biggie, you know. And as far as the Ampero goes, so um, the Ampero people seem to respond quick to me. Um, when I need to reach out to them, I always got an answer from them. Um, do I know the support email? That was answered in that question So you'll see it in the video if you're looking for it. And also, you can also reach out to them on their YouTube, on their Facebook page. As far as the multi-effects goes, yes, you can definitely connect them straight to studio monitors. I've done that and it works very well. Um, Again, depending on what type of monitors you have. If your monitors are powered, no problem. Plug them straight in. You can monitor your playing. All right, so here's a question on the 335. So how do you set the neck angle? I think we talked about that early. There's really nothing you can do. You just have to hope that the way the neck and the pocket's been cut, it's been cut accurately. You can put the neck into the pocket and then put a straight ruler along the neck and see how far off it is of the body. Like, it shouldn't be higher up or so it's going to be too high for the bridge, and it shouldn't be too low that it's going to interfere with the body. So it should be somewhere within that tolerance. And generally, if you're in that position, you can always adjust the bridge afterwards. But definitely, once it's in place, you can't really mess with it. So make sure that you check that first. I did a review on the Frets a Lot, the LED guitar learning system. And so one viewer says he can't get over the fact that it doesn't go all the way to the 22nd or 24th fret. So Fat Philosopher would probably agree with that. And that's the reason why they haven't bought one yet. So maybe they're going to eventually do that, but I guess maybe their market they don't really sell that many of, or get that many requests for a 22 or 24 fret version of it. So that could be why they don't have one yet. The system overall is good, but the disadvantage is you can't take it off and put it back on. Once it's on, it's on. If you take it off, the glue doesn't stick anymore. And it would be great if they had a version where you can actually just put it on and remove it. But honestly, you can also learn how to play guitar without it. So either way, it's a cool gadget, I guess, if you want to have additional help. But there's disadvantages with it as well. Cool Tunes Made Easy says I may buy that 335 from you. Maybe I'll sell it. Who knows? Maybe I'll eventually. I already have two 335s. We'll see. Maybe I'll do a draw or something and we'll give it away on the channel. Something like that. I put a lot of hours into it, man. Yeah, it's my dog. I don't think it's your wife. That's funny. Trust me, a Fat Philosopher, the dog is sleeping in peace. Too much. So, I mean, seriously, what the heck? So the question from George was, good chug, high gain head with an overdrive or boost in front of it. I mean, I don't really do the chug thing too much, but if you have a good amp, you don't need a pedal. If you don't have a good amp for that particular style of music, then yeah, you could definitely supplement it with a pedal. I always say to anyone that wants to listen to me, it's always better to get a clean amp and then supplement the clean amp to get the chug or whatever you need with a pedal. Then you have the best of both worlds. Because if you have an amplifier that only does chug, that's pretty limiting in my opinion. So he's asking, just to get this clear, he's asking overdrive pedal or distortion pedal on its own is better for a chug sound is what I meant. So again, that's not always true. You can get a great chug sound out of a Friedman Dirty Shirley without any pedals if you want, or the Mesa Boogie rectifier. You can get a great chug sound out of that without any pedals. But if you want to get a chug chug sound out of a Fender amp, good luck without any pedals, right? So it depends on the amp that you're using. Hey, Jonathan, how's it going, man? Thank you for joining in. Man, you're up late all the time. Jonathan's a definite night owl because in his time, he's 12 hours ahead, so it's probably about midnight over there. Thank you for tuning in, man. So George says if no amp gain is involved, the distortion is going to get closer to a chug. Yeah, if you're playing through a clean amplifier, for sure, you're going to get a chug out of a pedal, but it depends on the amp that you're using. So your daughter's been playing guitar since the age of 7, which is great. I really would encourage anybody that has kids to jump in with the music as soon as they can, because it's a perfect time for them to get their ears trained and get familiar with, listening to the tones, getting familiar with the tones. They say that if you want to develop relative pitch, or in some cases perfect pitch, which is rare, the best time to do it is with kids that are young, because at that age they can actually adapt quicker to the sounds, and apparently it's easier. But yeah, definitely encourage your kids to play music, man. It's definitely better than spending their time playing video games. I mean, I enjoy video games as much as the next guy. It's just a time suck, like. Yeah, I was gonna mention that. Um, yeah, if you watch Ola, he's got a cool channel, and he's got a thing where he says, "Will it?" It's like basically, "Will it chug?" Because that's his thing, right? He plays the heavier music, so he might give you some ideas on how to get better chug sounds. Just reading some of the comments here. Corky Cat says, "I have no problems with my sounds, both bass and guitar. I have a nice collection of amps, but I don't have a katana. So when he asked, I couldn't answer." I get it. Okay. I understand what you're saying. So Fat Philosopher's song was The Conjuring by Megadeth. And he finally got to use that 24th fret. That's almost the same feeling you get when you have like a Jeep or something, right? And you're riding on the road, and you're just looking for an excuse to go off road with it, right? So if there's something that, if there's a traffic jam and you have to like drive over the meridian, that's like what these guys are waiting for. And it's the same with people that have 24 frets. They're kind of waiting for a song where they can actually play that 24th fret. Paul says he loves ugly wood guitars. Now, there's actually been a renaissance with builders using recycled wood from old barns and different things like old doors. And when I say doors, I mean like solid doors. So they're basically recycling this wood and building some really cool looking guitars. And they're like you said, maybe ugly looking, but really is like it's pretty cool. I think it's pretty interesting. And if you look at just on a side note to that, if you look at Billy Gibbons, um, him and his partner on bass both have these guitars that look like they're made of recycled wood, but they're not. It's just a sticker. I just learned that, and I thought that was pretty funny. They have these custom like stickers that they put on the guitar to make it look like the wood is actually old, but it's not old. It's just makeup. So Alan's answering my question regarding a solder tag. He says it's like a large washer with a tab on it to solder the ground connection to. I get it. Okay, yeah, I see what you mean. So it's like a little washer you slide in with a tab, you solder to that, and it avoids having extra heat put on um, the actual pot, which I think is a good idea. I'm sure you can get those relatively easily, can't you? Just reading some more of the questions that have gone by while I've been blabbing here. So Jack the Rabbit says there's a limited edition American Standard with channel bound neck. I don't know if they're still available, but they used to go for around $1,600. That's a lot of money, man. I don't know. I don't have a big want for a bound neck on a Strat. I don't know why. Just like I'm used to seeing Strats without having binding on them. Hey Tim, have a good day, man. Take it easy. Thank you for joining me. See you next time. So Paul has the inside scoop on all of the early designs, I guess. It's a good thing to have. You have a lot of people that can give you the inside scoop and know what to look for. So Squire have brought out some excellent limited edition colors for their Affinity Classic Vibe lines, Strat Telecaster, and Jaguars. I know Affinities are cheap as hell, but do you think it's worth risking picking up one for fun? I would say go with the Classic Vibe. I think the Affinity is kind of like you're getting too close to the bottom end of the line. The ones that I've tried, hit and miss, but the Classic Vibes were definitely good. I would say go with Classic Vibe. So Alan says if they're made in China, I would avoid them. Cheap muck metal parts that need replacing. It depends. I mean, I've had some pretty good Chinese made guitars, but you would have to check because yes, it could be that they will be using crappy parts, and if they are, then you're kind of gonna have to upgrade them. So check them out first. Like I always say, man, you gotta play the guitar. Go to the shop, play the guitar. Do your research first. Don't just like buy without like trying it. That's the worst thing you can do. George says that his favorite guitar is a 20 fret 1964 Harmony H19. Luckily, I'm not a shredder. Never owned a 24 fret guitar. The 24 fret guitar is a weird because you feel the neck a little bit longer, and it throws it off, and the strings also feel a little bit more rubber bandy. So it's not for everyone. I had a PRS that had extra frets, and a friend of mine bought the Harley Benton with the extra frets, and it's a weird sensation when you're not used to it. So, George, I mentioned earlier that we were at the finish process getting close to it. I actually sprayed some more lacquer yesterday, so I'm losing a lot of brain cells right now. I'm just joking. I actually use a respirator and I try to air out the place as much as I can. But I'm into it now. The dye is on the body, and I'm onto my third can of lacquer. I have another can to go. I'm going to put 4 cans of lacquer on it. And then we're off to the drying stage, leave it dry for about a week or two. And then we're going to go to the wet sanding, buffing with compound and getting it all nice and shiny and ready to go. And then we'll put the hardware in, the electronics and the pickup. So it's getting there, man. It's getting there. I'm doing videos along the way, so I'll keep you posted on those as well. So uh, I was wondering if the wood would be decent enough for me to upgrade the hardware later on, or is it poor as well? Can't trust what the sites show on their videos. Generally, my experience is that you could upgrade anything if it's standard sizes. The thing is, often when they're doing Squire Classic Vibe or Affinity or whatever, they do this on purpose. The holes on the pick guard and the holes on the bridge don't always align perfectly. So if you want to upgrade the bridge later, sometimes you're stuck. But nowadays, there's a lot of companies that make bridges that are compatible with a lot of different size holes, so you're able to probably find something that you can drop in there if you want to upgrade. And then generally on those guitars, you're going to be upgrading the tuners, the bridge, and the pickups and everything. The issue with that, and it's something I always say, and I'm just my advice to you, you decide what you want to do. But my advice to you, if you're buying an Affinity and then you're changing the pots, you're changing the pickups, you're changing the bridge, you're changing the tuners, at the end you've put in probably another 200, 250 bucks, probably more depending on what kind of pickups you want to install into an Affinity that you're not going to be able to sell for that price afterwards. So unless you keep all of the original parts and then put it back together the way it was before you want to sell it and upgrade to something else, you're kind of going to be throwing your money away. So I wouldn't do that. I would just aim for a guitar. If you're going to go through all that trouble, aim for a guitar that's $250 more. Instead of looking for a $200 guitar, go for a $450 guitar on the used market. That would be like a $600 guitar, and you're going to be ahead of the game. Yeah, the thing with basswood is that it's soft. So if you constantly pull out the screws on the fretboard, not the fretboard, on the pickguard, on the bridge, eventually they wear out and you're gonna have like loose screws and stuff. So you can't go too crazy. But basswood as a body wood is fine. I have basswood guitars and they're fine. Hey, Hurricane Moon, nice to see you, man. Thank you for joining us. I get it, man. I hope I answered the question. I don't know if I did or not, but I hope I did. So Casey's right. You can definitely upgrade it over time. But like I said, guys, you have to keep in mind that a bullet is always a bullet. A affinity is always an affinity. If you try to sell it even after you upgrade it, you're not going to be able to get more than the standard price that an affinity is going for. So do like I do. Keep all of the parts in a Ziploc bag in the case. So if you take anything out of the guitar, you can put it back. And then eventually, if you want to sell it, put it back in its original condition, keep the parts that you bought to upgrade it for another project, and then sell the guitar and move forward. George likes the look of bound fretboards on just about any guitar. Yeah, I mean, it's an acquired taste, I guess. I mean, some guitars look great with the bound fretboard. The 335 that I'm building right now doesn't have a bound fretboard. It's got just regular, excuse me, a regular fretboard. And on a 335, it kind of looks odd, but I'm glad it doesn't have a bound fretboard because it would be more scraping for me to do. And I did so much already that I'm getting like a repetitive stress on my fingers. Playing guitar is a strange beast. I went from knocking out tunes every day to not touching my axe for 2 weeks now. My mojo is filling back up, lads. You know what? This whole COVID thing has kind of made it weird for everyone. I felt the same. I kind of like at the beginning, I felt too much stress, so I didn't feel like playing. I didn't feel like inspired to play. Now things are kind of slowly moving towards the light, and I'm feeling like it's going to get better, so I'm more encouraged to play. Corky Cat says that just pulled up and thorn pages for bullet tullies. I have a look. I'll have a look afterwards. Many thanks again. I thought that since the Affinity was in string through, no way the cheaper versions would be. Do your homework, man. That's all I can say. Go to the store, try them out, feel the guitar, play the guitar. It's really like you got to do that. That's my humble advice to you. I've purchased guitars, not playing them, just based on like reviews and look and the look of the guitar and stuff, and I've always regretted it. It's rare that you're gonna not regret it. Billy Gibbons is great. He intervened with Duncan so I could have a pickup that is just for him. In fact, he said so I did not have to wait to get one they were holding for him. So you got a pickup that was intended for Billy Gibbons. Am I reading your comment correctly? Yeah, Alan, that's exactly right. Squire Gold, classic vibe, great guitar. I've had two classic vibe Telecasters. I've had the 50s and the 60s, both great. I regret selling one of them, butterscotch one. I was laughing about the comment someone made about Tony's whammy bar technique, not what you said. It wasn't the whammy bar. It was actually my vibrato. I don't think it was this. It was this hand. So yeah, everybody's got an opinion, man. Victor wants to know what body is better for drop-in hardware. Made in Mexico Fender. Um, well, I mean, you want to get something that's not a soft wood. So like pine is relatively soft. Basswood is relatively soft. Um, then you have alder, ash, um, those type of woods typically are a little bit harder. Some of them are heavier, however. So it depends on whether or not you want a light guitar or a guitar that you'd be able to drop in hardware. But as far as, like, I'm talking about unscrewing things, right? Making if the wood is harder, then you're less likely to strip out the holes. But as far as drop-in hardware, the Mexicans are easy because you can always buy a Mexican bridge. They're easy to find. There's a lot of them out there. Tuners as well, no problem. But the Mexican and the American are not the same. So if you're trying to put an American bridge in a Mexican Fender, it doesn't always work. Even the plates, like even the back plate and the pick guards, the holes are not drilled in the same place. And they do that on purpose, so they can charge more for the American stuff. It's kind of a pain, but it's true. So if you're trying to upgrade or change hardware, you got to really make sure that things align. All right, guys, I think we're gonna call it a day. It's been almost 12:30 now. Been online for quite a while. So if you have any last questions, guys, ding ding, now's the time. I'm gonna give 5 more minutes or so for any last minute questions. If you don't have any other questions, then I would once again remind everybody to encourage the channel if you can. If you want to pick up some swag, definitely do that. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please subscribe, because obviously you guys are what drives this channel forward. I'm going to try to have some of my guests back again, and eventually have new guests as well. I think that's going to be a lot of fun. We always have a lot of stuff to talk about. And Quirky Cat says here, I would never buy a guitar online. You have to play the guitar first. Guitar Center, pawn shops, Craigslist, etc. But you have to play it first. Exactly. 100%. Hey, Fat Philosopher, take it easy, man. Thanks for tuning in. I hope we didn't cut into your beauty sleep too much. Hope to see you again next time. Hurricane Moon, take it easy. Thank you for joining us. Nice to see you here again. I appreciate it. Thank you for the kind words, Alan. Always a pleasure, man. And thank you for the thumbs up, Jack the Rabbit. I appreciate that as well. Thank you, Fat Philosopher. Thank you for giving me the thumbs up. I appreciate that. Okay, so Corky Cat, I get what you're saying. So you're in Greece and you don't have a lot of stores for online purchases. I get what you're saying. So then again, you would have to take a chance and hopefully make the right choice. I would then maybe try and go read as many reviews as you can before you make a decision. And generally, you know, honest reviews can help. YouTube reviews can help as well. But ultimately, you have to make up your mind. But if you can try one out, definitely try one out first. Hey, I appreciate the sticker, man. I hope you enjoy it. Let me know where you ended up putting the sticker. Paul says that the made in Mexico bodies and necks are made in the USA. It's cheaper to do because the equipment to make them is made for volume. Yeah, and I mean, Mexico, US, not a big deal. Quality's still good. All right, guys, we're going to wrap it up. Thank you for tuning in. I don't regret getting up a little bit early to set up these shows for you guys. I appreciate you guys tuning in, and I really hope that everybody out there stays safe, and that we'll be talking again really soon. I might again do a Wednesday evening show. I'm not sure. I'll let you know ahead of time so you can tune in for that if I have some time to work on that with you guys. All right. So give me a thumbs up if you like the video and you like this live chat. You can leave other comments down below, but like the video and that will help me out. All right, guys. Have a great Sunday, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your day. Looking forward to the next live event. Talk to you soon.